Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is the late review of Danganronpa. Another episode, Ultra Despair Girls, on the PlayStation Vita. The story begins with Komaru Naegi. She's trapped in an apartment, she's being held prisoner, and then Byakuya from the previous two games shows up to save her when she gets attacked by a Monokuma. Yes, Monokumas from the previous games. They're these bear robots. This happens to be a massive shock to her since she's been stuck in that apartment for a year and a half. After escaping the apartment complex, she discovers that the Monokumas are attacking people everywhere, just absolutely everywhere, all across Toa City. It's chaos. She's quickly captured by the folks who are behind the Monokuma robots attacking, and they subsequently let her loose into the city so that they can hunt her. Now, this is the point where she meets Toko Fukawa. For those who don't know, Toko is also from the previous games. Once Toko and Komaru get together, that is where the game really kicks off, and you follow them for the rest of the story. I honestly think the game had a great story overall. I think they did a good job carrying on from where the previous game left off, and I think they did a really awesome job with the writing between Toko and Komaru, as well as showing their growth as characters throughout the story. Now, the sound I felt was pretty good and really matched the Danganronpa universe. The sound effects were great, as well as the music for the game. I think they did a great job matching it up to the previous games. One thing that I really missed in this game was Monokuma as a character versus as a just drone, a grunt out there to kill things in the street. Monokuma was a really fun character, and his lines were honestly some of my favorite in the previous games. The voice actors did a great job bringing these characters to life, which I think is probably pretty difficult considering how absurd the scripts in the Danganronpa series can really get. But they did a fantastic job delivering them. One thing I found distracting was the voice actress for Komaru Naegi. She started to change Komaru's voice throughout the game. She went from sounding like a much younger teenage girl to sounding like a more mature woman, like an actual grown adult. And I think that may be on purpose to show the growth of the character. But where I find it distracting is she switches back and forth in some of the later cutscenes. And by that I mean in some of the cutscenes, she'll sound like a full-grown woman, whereas in other cutscenes, she'll sound like a teenage girl again, and that gets really distracting. However, the voice actresses did do a great job for Toko and Komaru, like delivering their banter back and forth. That was fantastic, and it's very important since they are the two main characters. As for the gameplay, this game is a huge departure from the previous Danganronpa games, which were basically point-and-click murder mysteries. This game is a third-person shooter RPG hack-and-slash game. And that shift in gameplay affects the controls, and unfortunately, that is where this game begins to really fall apart, is the controls. They're shit. The aiming is awful. There's a weak point on the Monokumas that you're supposed to shoot. It's a glowing red eye, and, well, it's really freaking hard to hit. It's not hard to hit because it's hard to hit. It's hard to hit because the controls just suck, and you'll be aiming right at it, and for whatever reason, you will miss that point. It blows when that happens, and eventually I just gave up aiming for that. The running is really clunky, and the sprinting is awful because, well, if you're sprinting and you lightly brush against something, you will slow to a complete crawl. It's horribly obnoxious. I will say the hack and slash bit works fine, but you can only use that for a limited amount of time every time that you use it because it's kind of that super overpowered move that you get. And while the movement still kind of sucks for it, at least the hacking and slashing is far better than the shooting. Back to the gameplay side, you can RPG a little bit. You can upgrade your characters, level up, etc., etc. You can upgrade the bullets you use. You can get new bullets to use. You get the idea. However, the upgrades for Komaru, they're useful. The upgrades for Toko, they're useful. The upgrades for the different types of bullets, you can try and change them, make them more powerful. That I didn't see any real use for. As for the graphics, it's a PS Vita game, so don't expect PS4 quality. It does look pretty good, but it also has a very anime style, and it's got 3 different art styles, all of which are anime-based. Firstly, there's the 3D anime style, which is used for the gameplay, and the vast majority of the cutscenes. It's the majority of the game, and it looks good. It's not mind-shattering, but it looks pretty good. The second art style is still very much anime-based, and it's motion comic-style cutscenes, and those are very, very common in the Danganronpa series. They've been used since the first game, so anyone who's played the previous 2 games will definitely recognize those. The third style is just full-on anime cutscenes, and quite frankly, they were great. They were few and far between though, and that in my mind was a massive problem. I say that because I really would have loved to see more of those as the cutscenes. I honestly found the 3D cutscenes kind of disappointing in comparison to those anime ones. Now, on the whole, I really wanted to love this game because I love the story. It does a great job continuing on from the previous two games, and anyone who knows me knows that I love a great story and a great story-driven game. Unfortunately, the control issues are a massive black mark on this game, and they make it honestly impossible to love this game the way that I want to. It's got a great story, but it's unfortunately a barely mediocre shooter. So sadly, I would have to say that if you've never touched a Danganronpa game, this is definitely not the place to start. If you're sort of a fan of the Danganronpa series, well, then rent it. And if you're truly a fan, buy it when it's like half off or less. Really, this game would have been a much better anime tie-in series than a game. So in the comments below, why don't you let me know who your favorite Danganronpa character is, or if you've ever even played one of the games. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, subscribe. Have a good one.